Welcome to Wednesday. I don't want to forget this. Today is Wednesday the 3rd. Tomorrow, the 4th, is a new moon. So if you're watching this before tomorrow or you're watching it tomorrow morning, it doesn't peak until 5:15 p.m. So write your law of abundance. What do you got to lose? Nothing. So definitely do that. There's only one Zoom this month. It is on the 19th, which is also a lunar eclipse, which means that if you've got something in the house, it should be pretty easy to pick up for me. And there will only be one Zoom in December also. Date to be announced, but I will be at the Goddess Elite on the 12th. Be there earlier, like 4 o'clock, with all the product if you need Christmas gifts, and after that, there'll be a talk that you have to sign up for at the Goddess Elite. Okie doke, we're talking about kids today. It's funny the way things work out. I must have got, 6 letters in a row in 2 days just about kids. It comes in spurts. Sometimes it's about old people, sometimes it's about animals. And yes, I'm going to go back to those crazy letters. I still have some more to do, but I have to figure out how I'm going to answer some of them because they're a little bit goofy. Okay, the first letter is my question concerns my niece that lives in South Carolina. She has 2 small children, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Can a spirit be so attached to a young child that it will make the child so sick with ear infection, sore throat, spike a fever under 98 to 103, keeping a child in the hospital without a diagnosis for several days because they can't figure out what's wrong with the child? We know there is a spirit in the house. They move and hide items. They make quite a bit of noise in the kitchen and living room. They will change the channel on the TV. There's a strong hold on her older one, and the 2-year-old is always sick. And again, the doctors cannot figure out what is wrong with them. Is there something you can do? Aunt Annie. Annie, this is the problem. It sounds like there's an issue going on in the house, but I cannot tell without a phone call from that house or for her to get on Zoom. Yes, the spirit is not necessarily attached to the child, but it's just in the house. And the weakest part of children is ear, nose, throat, and upper respiratory. So everything, the sicknesses could definitely be attached, that is making the kids sick. And, with kids that young, she really should start smudging at least, if nothing else. I don't think I would smudge with the kids in the house, especially if they've got respiratory problems. But have her do it at least every 2 weeks or get on a Zoom and let's see exactly what the heck is going on. Marianne, I live in Maryland, Cape Cod house. We got this house for a bargain because the previous owner committed suicide by shooting himself in the head while on his knees with his head under the kitchen sink. Huh. Wonder why he did it that way. Well, okay. I also believe that my dad, who passed 2 years ago, hangs out in the kitchen. We have problems with our silverware going missing, jewelry going missing, keys going missing. Things frequently fly off shelves, jump out of cabinets, and in general are not where they should be when you go to look for them. My daughter and her husband and 3 children live here as well as my husband and myself and our 2 dogs. We saw a woman with her throat slit and all covered in blood in the bathroom. And I see people coming to the door all the time, but no one is there, no packages left. We hear footsteps going down the main set of stairs from the second floor to the first floor. Oh, and by the way, my daughter smudges once a month with sage. What should we do? And this is from Lori. Well, I think it's curious that the man shot himself under the sink. I would just love to know what that was about. Um, I'm smiling because I'm sure there's some plumbers that are working under sinks that have a bad job going that would like to shoot themselves. But I just don't know why this man actually did that. You said your dad died 2 years ago, and you think he's always in the kitchen. If an earthbound spirit or a spirit that has crossed over is not going to stay in one room in the house, they can go wherever they want. So maybe you just sense them more in one room or another, but I'm sure they go through the whole house. Have you dreamt of your father since he's died? It's been 2 years. So if you've dreamt of him, then he's there, but he's just visiting and he's not causing any problems. And let's face it, why would your father do all this stuff? Now, the man that committed suicide, that's a real good possibility that he might be there. But I got to tell you, I don't understand what this image of a lady with a slit throat and blood all over. In over 70 years, I have never seen anything like that. That's movies, that's TV. The spirit is always whole, never gory, never bloody. So I'm not, I have no idea what that is. I would have to say, I, this somebody watching a weird movie on TV or something, because I don't believe that that is actually, something that could happen. Um, the smudging, I'm glad that your daughter is smudging, but once a month is wasting her money and her time. It's doing nothing. Smudging has got to be done minimum of every 2 weeks. I would like to see it happen every 10 or 11 days, 12 days instead of 14. But definitely it will make who's ever there lethargic, and if you do it long enough and regularly, they will leave. Um, and seriously, if you really keep seeing this lady like this with the slit throat and the blood all over, come on Zoom. I'd like to see her because I would really like to see something like that. This one is from Nancy, and this one is from North Carolina. We live in a house that was built in 1849, and it was used briefly as a Civil War hospital. There was one room given that has always given the children and me the creeps. My oldest son was interested in Civil War history. When he was 9, we took him with us to visit some battlefields. We offered to buy him a uniform and just assume he would get the Confederate one. He told us he needed the Union one so the man wouldn't be upset with him and get mad, and and he would leave the house if he didn't have the right kind of uniform. The first 6 months after we moved in, I developed a stomach condition that has ended up being chronic. We have a cleaning lady who is African American. Whenever she uses the one door to take out the garbage, the door will lock itself behind her. Also, the thermostats will be jacked up to 85. We have three, and suddenly I realized we are all mad and hot and arguing uh, with one another. And I check around, and the thermostats are all up. What should we do? Oh, yay. Okay. I have seen a lot of soldiers in houses in North South Carolina in that area where there are a bunch of Civil War battles that were fought. That is actually pretty common. I think it's interesting, though, that your son at 9 is still able to see and communicate with whoever is there. Usually by 9, they start losing it. And, which is fine. Eventually, it won't keep up. Yes, it could be affecting your stomach. And yes, it could be somebody that's locking the door behind her. And you do realize there are some doors, though, that when you shut them, they automatically lock. Make sure she's not doing that. I would definitely start smudging and get a ordained priest or minister in there, bless the house. Get on Zoom. Let me see exactly what's going on in the house so you know. And from what I have found, according, to the other Civil War spirits that I have found over the years, they want to go to the light. So you may want to leave a piece of paper and on one side write, who's ever here, go to, and name the closest funeral home to your house, and tell them the next time they see a funeral there or viewing there, go and use the white light. Maybe who's ever there will cross over on their own, which would be great. Okay, this one is from Sonia in Pennsylvania. When my daughter had her tonsils out, she was 4 years old, and she had experiences. She became terrified of our basement playroom. She would say, "Shh, don't make a sound or the monster will know we are here," and tiptoe around the house, scared to pick up a toy, truly terrified. My husband says that it was just the anesthesia that she had for her operation. But my gut tells me perhaps there was something else going on, and there are spaces in the house to just feel yucky. But could the anesthesia have heightened her awareness of ghosts? There are some meds that relax you enough where, yeah, you can see them clear. People find that when they meditate and they're very relaxed, or do yoga and they're really relaxed. If you've got something in the house for some reason, it just seems to be a little easier to see if you're doing one of those things. So, yeah, but anesthesia, in all honesty, wears off pretty fast. I mean, you're in the recovery room, and as soon as you're up walking around and drinking something, you're allowed to go. So I think that's a little bit odd. I'm wondering if maybe somebody didn't follow her home or follow you guys home from the hospital that she had the surgery. That is not uncommon. Start smudging. Definitely get the house blessed and get on Zoom. Here's the second part of her questions. There have been several periods in my life when I have shoplifted. It's not something that I'm proud of, but I was in a postpartum depression that I have since dealt with. However, when I would be in a shoplifting phase, I would be terrified and convinced that there were ghosts in my house. I wrote it off as anxiety, but after reading your book, I have to wonder, could the negative emotions and things that I was doing and experiencing have attracted unpleasant ghosts? You know, because of the anxiety and the stress that you were under, that would be one reason why a ghost would attach to you. So that's a possibility. I was doing and experiencing. Recently, I started saying the Lord's Prayer at night after envisioning a circle of white light around my family. Since doing this, I have not had to steel myself against this impulse. There is absolutely no desire, and the sensation that there was is leaving me. But could the ghosts, if there were any, have gone away once that theft and I stopped doing that? Yeah, I guess if you still weren't doing it and they weren't getting any more energy from you, they could leave. I would still smudge, especially with what your little one is seeing. I think it would really be helpful for you to smudge on a fairly regular basis. Okay, this is, I thought I'd get through more. There's about 8 more here, but we can do this again. Please, please don't forget to write your law of abundance tomorrow. Um, the podcast today is the third one, the third podcast that we're doing. And just go to When Ghosts Speak and you can find it there. It's on my website. We're still working on it, so we need some people to respond. So if there's something you want or don't like about it, let us know. We're not. I'm not a computer person, and so I need input, and I have to get more comfortable with this, or I'm not going to keep doing it. So, but have a good week, and we'll talk next Wednesday. Thanks.